ball.
The car ended up shutting off on me twice, and did the exact same thing. I really had no idea why, but one of the times the dash flashed inverter fault. And so both times I was able to shut it off, reboot it, and keep going. So I ended up getting to the top of the mountain once that day. Yeah, we're back from the Ascutney Hillclimb with New England Hillclimb Association. This was the first race of the season for me. And this was pretty big because it was the re-debut of my personal race buggy, Kermit, which has for the last 3 years been under the knife, getting completely turned into a whole new car. So hill climb racing, I've been doing this since 2018 with New England Hillclimb Association. We run 4 different mountains throughout Vermont, and we race on the toll roads. It's a time trial from the base to the summit of the mountain. These are all paved roads, so coming in with an off-road buggy, this is not the type of thing this car was ever built for. This car, I've had it for the past 11 years. Used to have a Suzuki Hayabusa motor, gas engine in it, and in the last 3 years it's been fully gutted, all new drivetrain. We're now running fully electric Tesla Model S drive unit with AEM controls, Chrysler Pacifica hybrid minivan batteries. One of the other reasons that I decided to convert it to EV was to have a vehicle in-house that we could develop and test our high voltage electro-hydraulic steering pump system. And that whole system worked phenomenal this weekend. 0 issues with the steering, and really other than just the outer shell of the chassis and the suspension and brakes, there is nothing else that's reused on this car. So it's been a pretty big undertaking. This was the first trial for it, really. The car powered up and drove for the first time under its own power 3 days before we left to head up to Ascutney. So yeah, we went through tech Friday night, no problems. Saturday morning we started off with a FAM run, familiarization run, referred to as a FAM run. And it's really just to get eyes on the road before we actually start our timed runs and go full speed. So FAM run started off great, going up the hill. About 2/3 of the way up at corner 29, the car just stopped going forward. It felt like I lost my throttle pedal. The dash was still lit up, and I really didn't know what was going on.
Oh, come on.
And of course, I've got a whole line of cars behind me, so I stopped, shut the battery off, killed the whole car, rebooted it, and it re-energized and continued on. So I continued up to the top of the hill, turned around, we came back down and started our timed runs, which, you know, we didn't really know exactly what the problem was that occurred during the FAM run, but we just figured we'd try a timed run at full throttle and see what happened. I ended up just driving the car very easy, so we had it in its most economical mode, and I basically just drove it as easy as I could. I ended up getting up to the top of the hill with no problems, and it died on me right after I crossed the finish line, so I couldn't complain about that. I was about 6 seconds off of my personal best for the Ascutney long course. Chris was live streaming data off of the car. He was back down in the campground at the base of the mountain, and he was seeing that the motor was reaching its upper temperature limit, so that's what caused the VCU. It basically sent out a fault, caused the VCU to just open my high voltage contactors and killed my high voltage.
You know, more amps than I was thinking we'd see. Seeing 400 or 500 amps with the torque limit made no sense. And all of a sudden it was like 1500. That's way beyond. Took the needle and wow!
So I got back down to the bottom, and we knew that we needed at least a temporary fix for the day. So we have a radiator on the back of the car. There's coolant that goes through the motor and through the inverter, but I never put a fan on it. We built a duct system that I was hoping just the vehicle speed would provide enough cooling, and clearly it wasn't enough. So Chris had his Milwaukee fan that we took off the duct cover going into the radiator, and he went to town with a roll of duct tape to put a fan on the car. And it honestly, it made a a pretty significant difference on the next run. The motor overheating was not the issue. It then became the batteries. But unfortunately, I never made it back up to the top of the hill. And really, at this point, our biggest goal is to make sure that we can keep that car cool for Mount Washington, which is coming up this August for the Climb to the Clouds race. Last time we ran it in 2021, I raced in this buggy with the Hayabusa motor against other motorcycle-powered cars, and it was one of the wildest experiences of my life. Mount Washington is the tallest peak on the East Coast. It's 4,500 foot elevation gain from the base of the summit in a 7.6 mile, very narrow, very rough, winding road. So it's, as far as a paved course can get, it's one of the most technical challenges out there. It's actually the same vertical elevation gain as Pikes Peak, but it occurs on a course that's about 2/3 the actual mileage. So it's very steep and very demanding, but Climb to the Clouds is the event that I have built this car for.